Welcome back to the 10-Minute Professional, a professional development podcast designed to help you navigate the political landscape of corporate America while maintaining your sanity and hopefully not becoming a soulless monster. My name is Gabe, I am your host, and I believe personal and professional development needs to happen around the clock. Time is money, and money's needed for life, so let's not waste any time and get to work so we can get back to focusing on our lives. In my career, I've done sales, customer service and support, digital marketing, social media management and strategy, sales enablement, change and process management and refinement, management of individuals, personal training, tons of stuff, just like I'm sure all of you have since you entered the workforce. In every single role I've held, there was a single skill that proved invaluable in allowing me to get my foot in the door, cultivate relationships, and helped me develop as both a colleague and a human being overall. In my humble opinion, the most critical skill to develop in both our personal and professional lives is clear and concise communication. If you're in a specific trade, or your primary focus is something technical, you may think communication would be secondary to honing your hard skills. That may be true while gaining experience in a completely new field, or during the entry-level phase. But once you've gained the prerequisite knowledge and begin to understand the intricacies of a given environment or field, communication becomes of paramount importance. In an ideal workplace, we would all be judged solely on the results we produce. However, we're all cognizant we do not work nor live in an ideal world. The practical reality is we need to be able to communicate effectively with a wide range of audiences to not only advance our careers, but ensure we are able to advocate for ourselves in any capacity. Given the bulk of my professional office experience is in the tech and marketing sectors, I'm going to reference those examples. However, I will attempt to make the points general enough so you can transpose these to your respective experiences. I've worked with engineers who are absolutely ice cold when it comes to investigating and rectifying bugs at various companies. But there's a reason those people are not typically client or external facing. Someone who is well versed with code and technical intricacies of a platform do not typically quote unquote speak the same language as the intended audience of that tool, which can lead to miscommunication, frustration, loss of revenue, and wasted time. This is why technical marketers, PR teams, and sales enablement teams exist, to distill down technical specs and nuances into the vernacular, or at least into something the more technically inclined members of the general public can understand conceptually. I understand this may sound very high level, so let's break it down into a real-world example I've used with colleagues who just entered the tech industry. I've worked with a number of people with experience in technical support, technical account management, and CRM development who really wanted to transition to full-time dev engineering work. This can be difficult when your experience is juxtaposed with someone who has worked on creating apps, building things, performing QA work, or has served as an engineer in prior roles. If you want to transition to dev work from a tangential field, obviously, you need to put in the time building up your resume or portfolio and technical skills. To be clear, my intent is not to trivialize technical or hard skills when they are crucial to the role. Rather, if you've worked in a tangential field, have illustrated initiative by building apps or tools or what have you using the same type of code, and you're adept at communicating with a wide range of audiences, you are infinitely more marketable than someone who only has experience in one specific vertical or type of work. Now, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean that you're going to get the specific job at the exact company you have your heart set on. I am very pragmatic, and my goal is never to be blindly optimistic. However, being more marketable means you have a fighting chance at more opportunities than others, whether that be by virtue of networking, having more skills on your resume, or having the capacity to create your own opportunities. I've no experience in human resources or recruiting other than for my own company, so I cannot speak to interview pipelines or tips. However, I believe illustrating your communication skills makes you infinitely more memorable. This is, of course, entirely anecdotal, but especially when I was hiring for entry-level roles of any kind. My thought process was always so long as someone has a baseline of technical or field-specific skills. They can learn the proprietary stuff needed for the role I was hiring for. While any new joiner would need to learn to communicate within the requirements of our organization, I personally never had any interest in teaching someone how to communicate, because in my eyes, that is much trickier than teaching essentially quote-unquote hard technical skills. If you've ever watched a drama or a romantic comedy, a common trope in those stories is that of miscommunication. Oh, if only they knew how I felt. If only I could muster the courage to say whatever. My wife loves Korean dramas, so I've seen more than my fair share. I know that seems off topic, but I believe those same core issues, miscommunication, misunderstanding, not being aligned or on the same page, in my eyes, those are the largest impediments to efficiency we encounter in the workplace. As such, it's in our best interest to ensure everything we communicate, whether it be written or verbal, a quick instant message, an email, or a public speaking engagement, everything we communicate needs to leave as little open to interpretation as possible. I'm currently working on this series centered around how to navigate the American political corporate environment, or how, as I refer to it in my head, how to be a corpo. But by no means does that mean I think I'm great at every single aspect of working in an office. While my colleagues may have a differing opinion, and hopefully it's positive, I believe something I'm very good at in the workplace is communication. I speak directly, in the vernacular, so I'm not using tons of big words, so anyone can understand what's coming out of my mouth. And I say exactly what I mean. This does not mean I do not understand the value of tact or the power of implication, but as a general rule of thumb, I avoid that whenever possible. When mentoring or consulting with someone, I provide additional context on the why, and I tailor my communication in a manner which is most likely to resonate with them, but I never deviate from using direct and plain language. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone says, "Well, it sounds like you're saying this," or something else to that effect? If someone says that to me, unless they are rephrasing what I said in a way that is just easier to understand for them, I have not done my due diligence. I strive for direct communication in all my relationships, both personal and professional, because I do not see the benefit in wasting time. We'll touch on how to present ourselves to others in a future discussion, but developing direct communication is something which only benefits you in all aspects of your life, but especially your career. I look forward to our next discussion, and I hope you stay happy, healthy, positive, and above all, confident.